Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. I have an important breakdown talking about one of my favorite long-term investments going into this next cycle that I think is one that has genuine 100x potential. There is so much opportunity inside of this cycle with it coming to be the institutional bull run. I genuinely think we're going to see more adoption than ever before, and it's the projects that are solving some of the most important issues inside of the blockchain ecosystem today that are going to capture the majority of the profit. This is one I genuinely believe everybody should have exposure to regardless of your situation in the market, because I have so much confidence that this one is going to be such a big winner going over the next couple years. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so as we're getting into this, I think it's important that we're talking about the background of the creator of this project. Now, when we're talking about some of the founding members of Ethereum, you have Vitalik Buterin, he's still obviously there. You have Charles Hoskinson, he left and created Cardano. You had Gavin Wood, he left and created Polkadot. And then you had Fabian Vogelsteller, or Fabian, however you say it. Anyways, he created Luxo, and that's the token we're talking about today. Now, I think that he is probably the most important member of all of these, considering some of what he actually created and wrote inside of the Ethereum blockchain. He is the person that wrote the standard for ERC-20 tokens. That was the reason we saw so much adoption in 2017, and it's really the reason Ethereum got adopted to the point where it's at today. It gave so much new infrastructure inside the market, allowed new cryptos to be built inside of the blockchain in an easy to do way. It was the first time we had a way to program our own digital assets on the blockchain in more of an average Web 2 type of way. Now, he was also the person that wrote the standard for ERC-725, and this is basically digital identities on the blockchain. Super important, a narrative I think could play out bigly in the next cycle, because when we're looking at our own personal data, it's such an important part and it's so valuable, and we haven't really had a way to protect it, let alone have a way to value it. And through the blockchain, I think that this is how we're going to finally be able to do that. Now with this, it protects your identity from hacks. All of these centralized servers like Ledger that freaking leak our information constantly, that's really why we want to have this on the blockchain. And he's the guy that wrote that standard. Now, he's the same person that wrote the Web3 JS as well, which we come over here. This is a chart that basically explains it, because I'm not a tech nerd. I don't know much about tech stuff, guys. I literally am a high school dropout. I failed my computer education class. Like, I failed my typing class too when I was in 7th grade. So I'm not really that smart. I can just see things in the market and understand people that are smarter than me and how to follow them. That's pretty much what I'm good at. But when we're breaking things down, I think it's still important we're talking about some of these technicals, because even though it might be a little over people's heads, like it is for me, and it's kind of hard for me to even explain this stuff, there's a lot of people that watch this channel that I know are a lot smarter than me, that do understand more of what I'm actually sharing with you, specifically people inside of the Luxo community. And I know that you're going to be watching this video, and if you are, and I'm saying anything wrong, or you want to add further to anything I'm saying inside of this video, please feel free to do so, because I'm looking to learn. I'm not insecure about me teaching wrong information, because I would prefer that you guys tell me what the right information is in the comments. And so I'm really just trying to help visualize why this is valuable, and I think that this is something that's going to help you guys to do that. Now, when we're looking at how Web3 dApps and applications work, they have to be able to communicate to the blockchain and the Ethereum network. When we're looking at that, we have this sort of connection, and he's the person who created that connection. So I think it's important that you're understanding he's the person that wrote the standard for ERC-725, he's the person that wrote the standard for ERC-20s, and he's the person who basically created the network to be able to communicate with dApps on the blockchain. So all of these reasons are very, very big for why I think there's going to be so much upside potential. Now, if we come over here and look at some of these founding members, like I said, these were two of my most profitable investments in the last cycle. We can come over here and look at Cardano and what it did. And this was one of my biggest that I've made, over 100x from where I bought it at 3.5 cents. And it had an absolutely massive bull run. It peaked at like $100 billion in total market cap. When we're looking at Polkadot, I bought this in the IOU before it was even listed on exchanges, and it was worth $200. They did the token denomination, and it launched at like $1.50 approximately, and this one peaked at just under 40x for me. So these were two narratives that I was watching, and I was simply just buying them because I said, well, this guy helped build Ethereum. Ethereum is worth this much. Probably going to buy this because it will maybe be worth half that, and I'll still make a lot of money, which is exactly what happened. So when we're finally coming over here and we're taking a look at what's taking place inside of Luxo, this is the old chart, but this is the chart that's going to help visualize the whole picture and why I'm so bullish on it. Now, we broke down the fundamentals, why it's such an important part. There's a few things I didn't cover, mainly talking a little bit about this LSP1, and I think that it's important considering the fact that this is going to be basically a blockchain profile that allows us to connect with any sort of token on the blockchain and not have to be so worried about it being a different token on a different network. And it'll be a profile that allows you to connect with all things without having to worry about those networks. So it's almost like a universal bridge on the blockchain. I don't want to get into it too much in depth because it's going to just take too much to explain it, but I will link this in the video description. So shout out to Professor Luxo for this. I will link it in the description so you guys can follow it. Now, when we're looking at the price chart here, we have two different tokens, and the new token that just launched is just Luxo once again, but it's LYX. They have finally launched their mainnet. This thing has gone live. And the reason we're looking at the all-time graph is just simply because of the fact this gives us an idea as to where we're at and how much further we still have to go. Now, guys, one of the most important patterns I've been able to trade inside of cycles and how I know when I'm early to a cycle before we're about to make a lot of money is following Elliott wave theory rules. And the reason why Luxo is so undervalued from a technical setup has a lot to do with this exact chart. When we're looking at this, Elliott wave theory rules basically state that you have three impulse waves. This is wave 1, wave 3, and then wave 5, right? And then you have a corrective wave that follows after. Basically what happens is you have this beginning impulse, and this is what starts the hype. This is where the early adopters come in, the smart money people move into the market, and then we see how this wave 3 is actually the biggest. It's because that's where all of the hype comes in. That's where all of the retail money comes in. That's where all of the people that, weren't quite as in the knowing of these things start to pile on and the market goes parabolic. And then it's in the wave 5 that the people that bought down in here take profits, and that's what starts the correction back down. So where Luxo is right now from a technical perspective is literally right here, just the beginning of this one wave impulse. And I'll share with you guys exactly what I mean. Count the Elliott waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. That's wave 1. Now, if we come over here and look at Luxo, we can see the same thing. We'll go to a log scale so it's easier to tell. We'll go to pull up our tools and we'll look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. We saw a perfect 5-wave impulse out of the lows, and then what followed was your classic A, B, and a C correction right after. It's the exact same setup that we saw over in here. 5 waves up, A, B, C back down, and now we're about to start that big picture wave 3. I am so bullish on this from a technical perspective because one of my most profitable trades is buying 1-wave and 2-wave corrections, considering at the ending of the 2-wave is right before we get the most impulsive wave of the whole cycle. And that's why I think that the charts are telling us we're about to see some very major price action setting in very soon. When we're looking at this, all we've ever done was completed this 1-wave impulse. Remember, this is the old chart, but we have to keep in mind that it's still, the same, because this is the same chart. It's just that we don't have the price history because they finally launched the new token on mainnet. So when we're looking at this, all we've done is this first impulse. We have this entire next wave 3 coming in that I think is going to be the biggest and most parabolic of the entire cycle. So when we're looking at this, we're still sitting pretty much near these range lows. This is just this big sort of accumulation that we've been in for this entire period. Ever since June of 2022, we've just been accumulating. And with this big rounded bottom that we're seeing right in here, I kind of look at the shorter time frames as just us retesting the breakout point. We're just flipping this range high as new support, kind of seeing a buyback already unfolding off that level. And if we come to a daily, we're retesting that and we're about to see continuation up. So I want to talk about this because from a technical perspective, I honestly think that this is about to start breaking out in a big way. And like I stated, guys, from an Elliott wave perspective, we're getting ready for the most impulsive one. And we still have an even further impulse to come after that. So when I'm looking at something that could potentially take off in a big way, this one is one of those exact examples. Now, we want to have technicals that line up with fundamentals, and the fundamentals most definitely line up with this one. I mean, you have one of the founding members of the Ethereum Foundation, who in my opinion was probably the most important one with what he actually wrote and created on the Ethereum network, how he created so much billions and billions of dollars worth of value because of what he wrote with the ERC-720 with the ERC-20 standard, with the ERC-725, with the Web3 JS. There's just so many reasons to look at this as something that could actually change the blockchain economy. When you're talking about universal profiles that could literally interact with any network, any application on the blockchain, to me that is so valuable, considering how annoying is it when I want to buy some coin on Metis or some coin on Arbitrum or some coin on Optimism, and I have to buy the token, I have to transfer it over to my MetaMask from wherever. From there, I have to bridge it over to whatever network I'm trying to trade it on, and then from there, I have to go and trade on this new protocol. There's just so many different loops that we have to jump through this cycle that if you're not real technically savvy, you're probably not going to understand how to do it. And that is why I think Luxo really has so much value, is considering, imagine if you had a profile, a MetaMask wallet that was also like a social media profile all in one, that allowed you to interact with any chain without having to bridge funds, without having to do all of this and that, and it pretty much just did all of that for you without you having to interact with all of the different dApps and applications. Fundamentally, I just don't think that you could see a better reason to be bullish on this, and that's why it's one of my favorite investments going into this cycle. From where we're at today to the prior all-time highs, you're looking at about a 3.5x, but for me, it's not so much about the short-term gains. This one is one I'm holding until the end of 2025. We're holding the whole cycle here. We're following 4-year cycles. That's always been my plan inside of the market. And this one's one I'm holding until the very end of this bull run, which I project to be the end of the year 2025. This one's one that probably you could just sit on long term. But you know, for me guys, here's the problem. I bought Cardano at 3.5 cents and I made 100x on it, but I've still just been holding and staking everything I had. Should have took all my profits, but I did believe that it would keep having new cycles. But the amount of money you leave on the table by just not selling up here and then not buying back down in here is just kind of stupid. And so for me, it's like I'm playing the cycles. This is one that I think could see some of the most adoption, considering what it actually solves, considering who the founder is. These are all important reasons for why this is going to end up doing so well. And with the background of how some of the founding members of Ethereum and how well their tokens have done prior to leaving ETH and launching their own chains, I just don't think you can really go wrong, considering this thing has a market cap of like 200 to 300 million. If we come over here and we look at CoinGecko, it's currently sitting just under 300 million. So if you wanted 100x, it would have to go to like 30 billion. Is 30 billion unrealistic? I don't think so, considering if we look at the market cap of ADA in the last cycle, it peaked at 101 billion. If we look at the market cap of Polkadot in the last cycle, it peaked at 55 billion. So 30 billion to me seems more than doable, considering that would underperform both of the other people that created new tokens that left the Ethereum Foundation, and it would still give us 100x. So that to me is just why I'm super bullish on this, and this is kind of my first breakdown as to why. I wanted to give you guys an update. I've rambled on a lot. I've broke down technicals that I probably don't understand enough about before I talked about them, but I have a lot of people that follow from the Luxo community, so please, educate me. Please educate the other people that are looking to ask questions inside of this. Help inform them. Share with them links that are going to help them out. Or with me, guys. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to learn. I'm just going to be sharing it back to the community because this is a project I really do believe in. So I wanted to make sure that everybody else had the opportunity of accumulating it at the low price before things really start taking off. Like I said, the technicals look strong. It doesn't get much more bullish buying in a wave 1 and a wave 2 decline, considering what comes next is this move right here. So guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these updates. If you guys want to see how I'm trading in the markets, altcoins I'm buying, where I posted signals inside of this in my group, we've already bought this in my group, sold it for profit, and then compounded some of that inside of this most recent dip. I'm firmly believing this is a big winner this cycle, and so if you guys do want to see how I'm buying these, when I'm buying them, before I ever talk about them on YouTube, links are in the description. This was actually a signal that we called in the last cycle. I bought this all the way back when it was worth sub $2. It made about 12x when we sold in this initial breakout. So if you guys do want to see how I'm investing over this cycle, there's going to be a ton of gains. There's going to be so much life-changing opportunities, considering we still have 2 years to go inside of this cycle. All of the altcoins just look like they're about to reverse and make absolutely massive breakouts. So I just don't think you can really go wrong, be a part of it. I know that there's going to be a lot of profit made. I've seen so many people make life-changing profit, and I don't know for a fact I'm more prepared this cycle than ever before. So if you want to check it out, links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Correct me if I'm wrong on anything, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.